All right, y'all, look, I think in this video, we're gonna kind of treat it how I did the last video. I mean, I guess there's no reason to call these random videos because in a sense, the clips that I'm showing, they, you know, they still pretty much go with each other. It all equals up to the same thing. Now, in this one, y'all already know I couldn't let the Kevin Gates thing pass up, right? Where he called himself an angel of fear. A odd way to word what he liked to call himself. Now we know Kevin Gates has not been shy of expressing, his involvement in witchcraft, spirituality, being 3,000 years old, you know, basically saying things that a lot of people don't have, the guts to say. And I mean, he's talked about his familiar spirits. He's he's out there. I think everyone knows that about him. Kevin Gates is out there. And I also want to play this clip from Unwind with Tasha K. Now, we've, showed some of her stuff on the channel before, especially back when she interviewed what's his name? Orlando Brown, right? So she does this interview with a witch, basically, and she's dressed up in all red, and she basically talks about some interesting stuff. I thought it was worth definitely adding to the video. And, during this process, if it's anything else that I think of that we could go ahead and throw in this video, then we'll definitely do it. So, with that being said, look, we'll go ahead and jump into this clip with Kevin Gates, and we'll come back and talk about it. All right. Check this out, y'all.
Sometimes we're not protective of our energy in the way that we should be because sometimes I say, I'm held responsible for the places that I place myself. But that's physically.
Right.
But I've been working with this other guy. You know what the fascia is?
Talk to me.
So we've been working on like releasing like certain traumas in your fascia. Like, and we've been working on that. And he told me something that was so beautiful. He said the physical, the mental, the spiritual is all one system. If one thing's off, everything's off. And I said, wow. And it intrigued me to the point I was like, I'm not overprotective of myself where I place myself energetically and spiritually and psychologically. I need to start being more cognitive in these areas. Physically, I know certain areas and certain places I'm not gonna place myself, but it's certain places I shouldn't even place myself energetically.
I never thought
Or
about
spiritually, or psychologically. And I was like, you know what? It's not because I feel like I'm better. It's because I know I am.
Are you an angel?
What you just said?
Are you an angel?
I'm the angel of fear.
the
What's
angel.
that?
The angel of fear.
You're the angel of fear. That's what.
Yeah.
You
Those who
understand
know.
what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying. Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir. He who opposes us in his heart,
Do you let people know?
fear shall overtake him.
Do you let people know that? Do you tell people that?
Those who have eyes, let them see. And those who have ears, let them hear. It ain't for me to put it there. They know the voice of their shepherd when I'm on location. Yes, sir. I got to shoot. I got to do.
Give me a handshake on that one.
Yes, sir.
We speak the same language.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you, but yes, sir.
I love that.
I had to.
Hey, he understands because
Yeah.
I think I go through. I understand this
Is
language.
my mic back in the right place? I had to.
Now, that I found to be really interesting. Now, Kevin Gates is kind of one of those guys where he'll hit you with something, and then next thing you know, he'll blindside you with you know, something wild, you know, can be very deceptive because the beginning part of it, I think anyone could agree. You want to align yourself physically, you want to align yourself spiritually, energetically. You want to make sure you putting yourselves in the right situations spiritually, really before you put yourself, you know, wherever you go physically. Because mentally, you know, in a sense, you have to be there before you can be there physically. You have to be there spiritually before you can be there physically, is what I'm trying to say. And that just involves something simple, and it's called thinking. You know, not being around certain energies, not being around certain people who produce certain energies. We know that. We've talked about that a lot on this channel because my go-to saying is, you can have 10 friends, right, that you're hanging out with, but you never know what this one friend got going on. You never know what kind of energy he done created, who he done crossed, who he done snaked, robbed, did whatever. That ball of demonic energy that he's created is now circling you and him because y'all are together. It's simple. And now his energy has, like how when they was talking about the shadow people in New Orleans, that demonic energy has now attached to you because you placed yourself, you know, around that type of person. Now you suffer the consequences of not having your spiritual self in line where it should be, not aligning your energy with someone who matches your energy. Makes a lot of sense. But what I found to be interesting, which a lot of people aren't really focused on, they're more focused on the fact that Kevin Gates called himself an angel of fear. And he quoted the Bible right afterwards. They say the devils, they know the Bible's, dang near better than, people who study it. But Paul Pierce, y'all got to know the guy Paul Pierce who's asking him the questions, who podcast it is, he was in the NBA. He was in the club. He was in the association, the NBA. Millions of dollars that he's made. And when he asked him, "Do you know what I mean?" that more seemed like a initiated type of question. That didn't seem like a you know what I'm trying to say? Like, are you really an angel? No, he wasn't asking him, "Are you an angel?" Like, and expecting, yeah, I'm an angel of fear. That felt like an initiated question. Only the initiated would know how to answer it or know what another person is asking. You have to notice the female had no idea what Paul Pierce was talking about. When Paul Pierce looked at him and said, "You know what I mean? You know what I mean when I ask you that?" Kevin Gates was like, "I know exactly what you mean." That's initiated talk. Nothing more, nothing less. So I think it was a little bit deeper than just him saying, "Yeah, I'm an angel of fear." I mean, you would automatically think of fallen angel or something like that as well when you hear that from Kevin Gates, because we know these artists summon these type of spirits, right? And if you notice that handshake, those thumbs were very well placed. Definitely look like a Masonic handshake where they place that thumb on that, that index knuckle. How we've had that in so many videos back in the early days when we started, but I felt like that was initiated talk. It wasn't just no, "Hey, are you an angel?" Notice what Kevin Gates was talking about. It didn't prompt that question. I mean, yeah, he was talking about spirituality. Yeah, he was, talking about energy and all of this stuff. But the normal person is not finna just randomly say, "Are you an angel?" Like, me and y'all having that conversation, I'm not just finna pop out and be like, yo, are you an angel? You know, you may think somebody be like, are you a demon? You know, but he said, are you an angel? That sounded like initiated talk, if y'all understand what I'm saying. Um, so I think you have to look at it in that way as well, because what they say, the world is ran by symbolism that the initiated can recognize, and you know, the average person can't. It's that simple. So yeah, that's mostly what I wanted to talk about on that clip, right? And this clip right here, this one is pretty interesting as well. This kind of goes, this video almost mimics the one we just did, because now we're kind of gonna go into more witchcraft stuff. And it's crazy because I was just saying I don't care about y'all good witches and all that good stuff. And literally, she says that she's a good witch who combats the evil witches of the industry, of government. She talks about magic and sigils being on the US dollar. And I mean, it's pretty interesting to listen to. So we'll go ahead and get into this clip, and we will come back and wrap the video up, y'all. All right. Check this one out.
Because, people think, they call you a witch.
Okay, and what's the problem?
I guess with the branding and, ever since like storybooks or fables, any storybook that I can remember in school, witches were bad.
Yeah, that's what they teach you. Yeah. So you don't tap into your power. I mean, why would I tell you that I'm doing a spell on you? I'm going to tell you that spells are bad so that I can do it on you. That's how I feel like society manipulates people, because it's been sensationalized. Like, oh, witchcraft is bad, witchcraft is this, but they're doing witchcraft on you. So yeah, we're all under a spell.
Explain that. Who is who?
The government.
The government's doing witchcraft on people.
Yeah, our money has sigils on it.
Please elaborate, please. I've heard of something like that, but I just be like,
yeah,
here go the wormhole YouTube.
Yeah, we can go before we go down the wormhole, but I'll give it like a surface level.
Go ahead.
So if you look at the dollar, first of all, it's a dead president on it. It's an ancestor.
Okay.
Off the rip, right? So when you look at the different pyramids and certain lines and how they print their money, it's all a spell. It's all a ritual, right? So every time you touch money, even psychologically, when you're thinking about money, it is all outlined to you. Subliminal, everything. Everything you watch is subliminal when you think about it. Your music is subliminal. The 808s, all the beats, everything. They are 100% controlling us. Yes. So if you know that you're being controlled, now you can't be controlled anymore. But if you don't know, they can continue to control you. And that's what's happening to everyone. That's why you get a certain feeling when you listen to certain music. It's frequencies.
No, I do know that. I have a talent show that we just started called Shoot Your Shot. And there was a guy that was singing on what I only heard it like once before. And it was when Halle Bailey was singing a song that she released. But it was like a frequency that almost made me cry.
Oh, an angelic frequency.
Yeah, like they call it like God's frequency or something like that.
Yes.
And I'm like, damn, like this is very empowering. Like, and it was just his voice. It was incredible. A black kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see that. And then when I listen to, rap music, I used,
It'll make you angry.
It does.
It'll make you angry.
Sometimes I like that feeling. I ain't gonna lie. I be in the car with my future on.
Yes.
I'm a young thug and stuff. And I'm like, these guys done.
They know what they're doing. Yeah, the executives. When you're like, why would they put this out? Everything behind that is strategic. They're not just putting it out to put it out, babe.
So what about Afro beats? It makes me feel good.
So that's going to be a frequency too. I didn't say it's all bad. Just like, okay, witchcraft is not all bad either. What I'm saying is that what I do is to combat the evil, to combat the negative people. So what they're doing is to control you, to manipulate you, to get you to feel a certain way and do a certain thing. So, and that's what I meant by people that are manipulated by media, by what they're seeing on TV, by their music. If they don't know that they're being manipulated, it works. If they're awakened and protected from it, it does not. The slave that is enslaved and know he's a slave will revolt. The slave that doesn't believe that he's enslaved, the slave that thinks that he's being helped, he's being manipulated, will always remain a slave. He's never going to revolt.
It's crazy when I type in, um, first off, it always says celebrity witch on, her titles, or if you type in satin witch, I don't get why she would be a celebrity witch. I don't understand that. Um, it's crazy when I typed it in, celebrity witch satin, this thing popped up as well over here to the right of the screen. Now y'all know we did a video about her. I think what's her name? Michelle Lammy or something like that. Just a wild, demonic looking creature. Of course, Beyonce pops up. This demonic looking creature is. Look at these two. This looks insane. So, gearing toward what she was talking about, right? She was saying that there are sigils on the dollar bill, right? Now, I thought that was interesting, and I thought it made a lot of sense, coming from a supposed good witch, right? She said, even when you think about money psychologically, that's a spell. That also made a lot of sense because it goes back to the saying, the root of all evil is money, right? So it almost attaches to you like music does. There are sigils on physical money, and there could be some kind of witchcraft on digital money as well. I wouldn't doubt it because they're obviously, pushing for everything to be cashless anyway. Where it started was the physical dollar, the dollar bill with dead presidents. Like I said, it tracks you how music would. So if you have physical money on you at all times, like a lot of people do, even though things are going more toward, a cashless society, a lot of people who still want to deal with cash and coins, they still carry cash. A lot of older people, they want to carry cash. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, if you think about it in a simple sense, like, how she was saying, if you don't know that you're being, controlled and manipulated, there's nothing wrong with it because you don't know. So you carry cash, you look at it the way it's printed. You can't even see that there's a sigil on the cash. You don't pay attention to the all seeing eye. You know, that stuff we already know. The little tiny owl that's on the dollar bill. The people who want to know and want to make themselves aware, we know about that stuff. There are millions who don't, and quite frankly, they don't care. They don't understand that they are carrying around a spell, something that will keep you chasing money, you know, at all times of your life. It even controls your mood. When that check hits your account, you get happy. You was down, you wasn't feeling good, you couldn't go buy nothing. You know, it just gives you a sense of relief. It gives you a feeling of something that, you know, a lot of other things can't give you. When that money hit, oh man. But a lot of people don't understand that's psychological warfare. That's spiritual, those feelings, that energy that is coming out of you from getting that check, in a sense, you can say that's witchcraft. You can almost say it. You can almost say it because it controls you. And if you are one of those people that let it control your moods and how you act, how you respond to certain things when you don't have it, oh yeah, you're having witchcraft being done on you, but you just don't know it because money is controlling who you are. And there's a lot of people out there like that, especially the ones with the money. That makes a lot of sense. Now, this also kind of goes back to what she was talking about with the frequencies. I think we just did what, two videos where we were talking about that, especially with the G. Craig Lewis interview. So this is something that's widely known for the people who make themselves aware, that the beats is not just beats, just like G. Craig Lewis said, those hard 808s, the way those drum patterns, I mean, I was a producer. I can't call myself a producer now because I don't make beats anymore. But I engineered my own music. I mixed and mastered my own music. I made beats. I made the beat that is the intro to my videos. And it's one of those like, you know, it's one of those samples that I found that will quickly get stuck in your head. And I didn't make that sample that y'all are hearing. So this is just me being transparent. I didn't make that to like, you know, get you in like a trance kind of mood, but it has that sound. It has that catchy sound to it to where you would want to listen to it over and over and over. Not saying it's demonic because I didn't create it that way. Mind you, when G. Craig Lewis talked about the frequencies, he said the music, it carries the heart of the creator, the person who created it. I didn't make that beat to cast a spell on you. I didn't make it so you never forget it. I just made it because it sounded good. It was the type of tone, vibrations, the 808s. It was the sound that my body created, my mental created. It resonates with me. That's my sound of music I like to create at that time. And that's the biggest part of it is the intent. Whether it's evil, whether it's good. G. Craig Lewis said he still makes music. But, if they're doing rituals, they're doing magic over the mainstream music. We know that. This is nothing like that. But I thought that was really interesting, and I definitely thought it would be worth doing a video about. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this one, man. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. I kind of I like this, just, digging up clips and we just going at it and talking, man. So y'all already know I'm gonna keep these videos coming. I'm in that mode. That's all I can say. So yeah, man, hope y'all enjoyed that video. With that being said, it's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. I'm out.